Breaking news from Windsor Castle has ignited fresh turmoil within the House of Windsor, with the Prince and Princess of Wales said to be incandescent with rage after Prince Andrew was photographed cheerfully horse-riding across the estate on Monday morning. The images, taken in broad daylight and perfectly clear, show the Duke of York cantering through the historic grounds as though the past 6 years of scandal, disgrace, and solemn promises to disappear from royal life had never happened. This is not merely an embarrassing snapshot, it is a provocative statement. Andrew had privately agreed, under intense pressure from King Charles, to vacate the sprawling, 30-room royal lodge on the Windsor estate and relocate permanently to a far more modest property on the Sandringham estate in Norfolk, more than 100 miles away. The move was intended to place a comfortable but decisive distance between him and the Wales family, who live at Adelaide Cottage, barely 3 miles from Royal Lodge. Yet months after that agreement was reportedly reached, Andrew remains firmly ensconced in the grace and favor mansion he has occupied for 2 decades, still enjoying the manicured parkland, the security details, and the prestige of a royal address, all ultimately underwritten by the British taxpayer. Insiders quoted by the Daily Mail describe William and Kate's reaction as one of barely contained fury. One source put it with blunt simplicity: they do not want him in their lives, and they certainly do not want him as a neighbor. Another added that the move to Sandringham can't come soon enough. For the couple who deliberately chose Windsor in 2022 to give Prince George, Princess Charlotte, and Prince Louis a calmer, more grounded childhood, complete with nearby schools, fewer staff, and a 4-bedroom cottage instead of an apartment in Kensington Palace, the continued presence of the most toxic royal brand in modern history is an intolerable intrusion. The photographs could not have surfaced at a worse moment. Only days earlier, the U.S. House Oversight Committee had issued a formal letter, signed by 16 bipartisan members of Congress, demanding that Prince Andrew finally provide testimony about his long and extensively documented friendship with the late pedophile financier Jeffrey Epstein. The committee gave him until last Thursday to respond. As of this weekend, there is no public indication that he has done so. One congressman, Raja Krishnamurti, told reporters that Andrew appears to be hiding, and that every time we uncover more evidence, Prince Andrew's name seems to be in the documents. The accusation that a blood prince of the realm is actively evading a foreign legislature has turned a domestic royal embarrassment into a potential diplomatic incident. Back at Windsor, the symbolism of Andrew breezily riding past the castle walls is excruciating. Royal Lodge is not his private property. It is a crown asset maintained at public expense. The stables, the bridle paths, the very grass under the horses' hooves are all part of an estate funded through the sovereign grant, money that comes directly from the taxpayer. To many Britons already grappling with soaring energy bills and food prices, the sight of a man who paid an estimated £12 million to settle a civil sexual assault claim, without ever admitting liability, still living in palatial surroundings, is politically explosive. For William, the issue goes far deeper than mere neighborly irritation. The Prince of Wales has spent years preparing for a slimmed-down, modern monarchy that can justify its existence in the 21st century. He knows the opinion polls. Support for the institution collapses among the under-40s. Every headline linking the crown to Epstein's sordid network chips away at the goodwill he and Catherine have painstakingly built through relentless duty, mental health campaigning, and an image of impeccable family life. Andrew, by clinging to the visible trappings of royalty while contributing nothing and answering to no one, embodies the very entitlement that threatens the monarchy's survival. William is said to have been appalled by the 2019 Newsnight interview, furious at the Virginia Giuffre settlement, and exasperated by Andrew's repeated refusal to accept the consequences of his actions. Sources say the heir to the throne played a decisive role in persuading his father to strip Andrew of his HRH style, military affiliations, and patronages in January 2022. Seeing his uncle flaunt his continued occupation of Royal Lodge feels like a personal rebuke. Catherine's perspective is, if anything, even more visceral. A commoner by birth who worked for years to earn public affection, she is acutely aware of how ordinary families view the royals. The idea that her young children must grow up on the same estate as a man whose name is forever linked to one of the worst sex trafficking scandals in living memory is abhorrent to her. George, now 12, is old enough to overhear whispers at school. Charlotte and Louis will not be far behind. The Waleses have gone to extraordinary lengths to shield their children from the harsher glare of royal life, driving them to school themselves, limiting social media exposure, choosing a comparatively modest home. Andrew's stubborn presence undermines every one of those efforts. Meanwhile, behind the gates of Royal Lodge, a very different picture is said to be emerging. Friends describe both Andrew and his ex-wife Sarah Ferguson, who continues to live with him, as increasingly isolated and fragile. They are both feeling the strain, one source told reporters. Family and friends are genuinely worried about their mental health. The Duke is reported to have barely left the property in weeks, venturing out only for solitary rides or walks with his dogs. King Charles, despite having taken a far firmer line than the late Queen ever did, is said to feel a lingering duty of care toward the brother with whom he grew up. It is an almost impossible balancing act, protecting the institution he now leads while preventing a complete mental collapse in a man who has lost his purpose, his reputation, and virtually his entire identity overnight. The wider public reaction has been one of unfiltered outrage. Social media timelines filled with variations on the same theme. Why is he still there? Why are we still paying? Why should William and Kate have to put up with this? The contrast between Andrew's 30-room mansion and millions of households choosing between heating and eating could not be starker. Tabloid front pages have been merciless, with headlines screaming, "Get out," and "William and Kate's fury." Even traditionally royalist newspapers have questioned how long the king can continue to shelter his brother from the consequences of his own behavior. At its core, this is a clash of two irreconcilable visions for the monarchy's future. William and Catherine represent transparency, service, and cautious modernization. Andrew represents a bygone era of unaccountable privilege, an era the public increasingly refuses to finance. Every day he remains at Royal Lodge is another day the institution's moral authority is eroded. Every photograph of him riding through Windsor Great Park is another reminder that, for some royals, the rules still do not seem to apply. The Sandringham solution was meant to be the quiet, face-saving conclusion to a scandal that has dragged on for years. Instead, Andrew's refusal to leave has turned a minor logistical delay into a major constitutional and familial crisis. Until the removal vans finally roll up to Royal Lodge, whenever that may be, the Prince and Princess of Wales will continue to wake up every morning knowing that the shadow of Jeffrey Epstein's most prominent British associate still falls across their children's playground. And with the U.S. Congress now openly accusing him of hiding from justice, the clock is ticking louder than ever. The House of Windsor has survived many storms, but few have carried the toxic combination of criminal allegations, taxpayer funding, generational resentment, and transatlantic diplomatic tension that this one does. For William and Catherine, the only acceptable outcome is no longer ambiguous. Andrew must go. The only question left is how much more damage will be done before he finally does.